Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis, and today we are going to be talking about Hedera or Hbar. I have a lot of things to discuss, so sit back, relax, and before we fully jump into this video, I just want to ask if you guys could please leave a like on this video. It does help the channel grow immensely, and I do greatly appreciate it. But with that in mind, we are looking at some major gains in terms of some altcoins around the market. Now, of course, Hbar kind of sits stable a little bit. As you guys already know, Hbar doesn't really move too much, but we are still up about 9.43% on this little, impulse to the upside. Now, in terms of Hbar, trading volume is only up about 10.94%. I would like it to be up a lot more. And now we do have to hit some clear, targets before we do flip bullish just yet, because we still are under 30 cents. And of course, Bitcoin's not at 53K just yet. I suspect that this will probably happen around this weekly candle close this weekend. We'll probably range on a little bit. Of course, if we get some impulses like we did today, we'd be at those targets a lot faster than expected. But in my mind, overall, this bullish sentiment of the market isn't just exactly bullish just yet. I think that downside is still not limited. I think that we could go down a little bit more. Overall, we're going to watch the market very closely and pretty much watch for any sort of, impulsive move to the downside or even to the upside, because I'm still very bullish on all of crypto. And in terms of a Q1 and Q2 pump, I think that Hbar is going to perform extremely well. Now, I do want to talk to you guys about some stuff in regards to, Hbar with Ethereum and a lot of other things in terms of some use cases. So, like I said, let's just jump into it and let's talk about what's happened. So, the news in terms of media outlets and stuff has been fairly good for Hbar. We've talked about this 3 crypto moonshots to get ahead of the next big thing, right? I've always talked to you guys about tokenization because tokenization is really going to be disruptive technology within a lot of markets. We've talked about tokenization of, stocks and bonds. We've talked about tokenization of even risk. That's a huge use case in itself because it does allow for a lot of alleviated stress and fear in terms of financial crises like the 2008 financial crisis. Now, we do see that tokenization might shape the future, and these blockchains will be critical. Now, of course, they are calling these blockchains, but I wouldn't, call Hbar a blockchain, but they are talking more so about tokenization. They are also talking about, Moonshot, a new Moonshot industry emerges because they're talking about electronic vehicles and all this kind of stuff. But they are more so talking about NFTs and how big NFTs are going to essentially become. But tokenization remains one of the most promising technologies of our time. It's more than just cryptos and NFTs. It's a path to trading goods and securing data, carbon credits, private data logs, pictures of bored apes. Tokenization allows users to transfer these assets securely and instantaneously between parties. That's why I've always talked about, tokenization of even, data. Now, they are talking more so about Bitcoin here. They're talking about Ethereum. They're talking more so about NFTs again. And in my mind, a lot of these assets that we talk about, I always talk about Hbar specifically when it comes to tokenization because Hedera is really kind of becoming the leading racehorse within the tokenization scene. Now, that doesn't mean that Hbar is leading the way for tokenization. I'm just saying it is one of the key players, and in fact, it is probably in the top at least 5, in my opinion, for tokenization specific assets. And it's not a specific tokenization asset, it's just one that's focused really on tokenization. But we do see here, perhaps the most underrated cryptocurrency in the world is Hedera. Like I've said, this is probably one of the most undervalued assets within the space. But they are talking more so about tokens and consensus, which I've gone over this a little bit. I think it was like around October, November time. But they were talking about the many use cases that could come from this. And of course, they are talking about Ethereum, and they do talk about Chainlink. Now, the funny thing about them bringing up Ethereum, and the reason why I even bring up this article again, even though it is over almost 2 months old, is because when we look back on time, we go back to June 2nd, and we just hear, are non-fungible tokens breaking Ethereum? Now, this was talking more so about how NFTs were booming at that time. They were seeing, just an NFT sold for $2.9 million. It's absolutely crazy, right? And they're talking about the enhancements that Ethereum needs with Ethereum 2.0, and they need to talk about the overall gas fees and transaction consumption and all that kind of stuff that Ethereum takes up whenever there is a minting of an NFT or anything like that. And of course, people are mentioning Hedera as being the main one here, of course, the 3rd generation, and it is true, right? Ethereum needs a lot more for it to actually provide the NFT marketplaces with that, overall use case of minting, trading, transacting, all that kind of stuff. And in fact, we see this November 27th, ZK rollups and the path to scaling Ethereum. They literally need to fix the network. They need to provide some sort of, it's a concern. Okay, just look at the median transaction gas fees in terms of the transactions alone. We've seen the spike in May on NFTs and the NFT boom, and we do see that kind of growing here as well. But in terms of Ethereum's overall network, the more and more that it's utilized, the higher and higher these transaction fees go, and the less and less scalable it becomes. That is a problem. That is why they're trying to tackle the scalability issues and bring up some sort of, possible way to focus on that and actually, target that. But then we look at other altcoins and we're like, well, it doesn't really need an upgrade. In fact, when we talk about even a layer 1 network like Casper's outscaling Ethereum greatly. So is Hbar, though. In my mind, I think Hbar is extremely overlooked. Not a lot of people are talking about it. Same with Casper, though. And when we're looking here, right, Hedera Hashgraph devs report going carbon negative. Okay, first off, they're going carbon negative, 1. 2, they're providing immense use cases to healthcare, social networking, supply chain, multimedia, sustainable energy, and so many other ones, right? And then not only that, but it's at a fraction of a penny for, a transaction to $1 possibly at some point in time. And it's the idea that when you have something that is so cost effective, so affordable, so green, so sustainable, so scalable, so fast, it's becoming the main choice for enterprise grade solutions. And that's exactly why I believe that, the price action right now is rough on Hbar. If we scroll down the list and we look at the percentage gains on the year-to-dates, Hbar looks fairly disappointing. It's only up 763% year-to-date, while other altcoins are up 14,000, 15,000, 20,000, even all the way up to like 60,000% year to date. And of course, a lot of these gains have diminished because of Bitcoin, but we do know that Gala was up like 60,000% plus this year. I get it. Okay, it's frustrating. But knowing what Hedera is becoming, we look back on this June 30th article. Hedera Hashgraph is shaping the future of enterprise-grade public networks, and this is true. We even look back on this quote. You could do all of that agreement stuff purely in your head without having to talk to anyone. Everybody would see this complete history of how we have talked to each other and how information had moved through the network, and we could actually come to an extremely secure agreement that's extremely fair with no communication at all. Now, this was pretty much focusing on the overall, messaging system that he's seen in 2015. He said when a message was sent to another computer, 2 hashes were added to it. It was an epiphany. Okay. This is pretty much when Hbar started, or Hedera began. Okay, and when we're talking about the communicating or the gossiping of nodes within the Hedera ecosystem, we've talked about the many use cases that can come from that in terms of drones and even cars and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy. And in my mind, like I said, with CBDCs on the rise, with institutional grade use cases on the rise as well, I suspect that Hbar is probably still going to become the number 1 choice for this. I don't need to tell you guys that, though, because if we go back 1 year ago, right, to September 16th, 2020, 1 year after open access, Hedera now processes 1.5 million transactions per day, surpassing Ethereum. Now, you might have read this or you might have seen this and probably said, well, that's interesting, but why isn't the price going up? Because that's the main thing or the main concern with a lot of individuals. They see something like this and they're like, well, why isn't the price going up? Well, it's because we're not in a utility-driven market yet. And first off, we're still, under the powers of Bitcoin and Ethereum in terms of dominance factors. Okay? But of course, this was just 1 year ago where they were, celebrating 1.5 million transactions per day. We have scaled this extremely higher. Okay, we do see here during its first year as a publicly available distributed network, Hedera averaged approximately 750,000 transactions per day. And we just seen Cardano celebrate 20 million transactions since its inception. I mean, it's comical to say the least that Hedera is still extremely cheap, especially under many of the competitors. rapidly expanding ecosystem, on-ramp partners, system integrators, and standards. It's going to continue to do that as well, and we've seen a lot of this come to fruition as well. And like I said, in quarter 2 and quarter 1 of 2022, there's a lot to look forward to. Now, with all of this in mind, we look back on things and we say 5 cryptocurrencies that will beat Ethereum. The funny thing about this is this goes back to November 4th, and they were talking about 5 specific altcoins that could essentially beat Ethereum. And they're talking about, SafeMoon, FEG, Ethereum, mainly, but better for business, Hedera is number 1. The world's number 35 largest cryptocurrency might be unfamiliar to most investors. It doesn't receive the glowing headlines of Ethereum nor the retail love of pup coins. We've talked about this. Okay, and like I said, this is extremely undervalued because it's extremely scalable, and they actually put it above Solana. They put it above Internet Computer Protocol. They put it above Shiba, which of course, why wouldn't they? And they put it above all of these other meme coins. Of course it is, right? It's better than all of that. Now, of course, I don't know if they have a specific order or anything like that, but the reasons behind this is, of course, if a company wants a blockchain application, whether to secure data, financial transactions, or anything else, they need a specifically built cryptocurrency that is both, 1, widely used, and 2, has the capability to encrypt large amounts of information. That's where Hedera comes in, specifically designed with the corporate use in mind. Hbar has the ability to store data and manage record keeping. Don't be surprised if Hedera beats Ethereum in the business realm, and I believe that it will. I think that we are going to outscale it extremely. Yeah, I mean, well, technically, we already have, outperformed and outscaled them. But in terms of price, of course, we haven't yet. Or I should say market cap, right? But overall, it's becoming extremely utilized on a day-to-day basis by its use cases. And we've been seeing a lot of stuff unfold within the overall Hedera ecosystem. Now, again, the funny thing about this article is that this was from November 4th. They never mentioned things from going all the way back to February 3rd of this year. Something like this: rare sneaker app switches from Ethereum to Hedera to skip blockchain fees. At $80 per or for minting an NFT on Ethereum versus $1 on Hedera, it was a matter of cost, said Suku. And of course, they didn't really have any idea to really kind of move from Ethereum to anybody else. The problem is that because the fees on Ethereum became too high, okay, after utility and after utilization on the network became more and more expensive, that's when they decided to do so. And of course, we've talked about this before. Okay, we've talked about this use case. We've talked about how they've switched. But the reason why I bring this back up is because going all the way to the beginning of this video, non-fungible tokens breaking Ethereum. We talk about what's the problem with Ethereum. Scalability is the problem. They are trying to fix they're pretty much trying to provide a solution to fix this issue. And all while we are seeing this, we're seeing Ethereum pretty much being outscaled and developed by Hedera. They're reporting going carbon negative. We're seeing the main choice for enterprise-grade public networks. We're seeing 1.5 million transactions per day, surpassing Ethereum. We see 5 cryptocurrencies that will beat Ethereum, and of course the number 1 is Hbar. And we do see Ethereum dApps moving from Ethereum to Hedera. All while we are seeing more and more NFT collections pretty much being launched within, of course, the Hedera ecosystem. For anybody who did miss this is actually pretty cool. Now we do see here, the Third Act platform boasts an incredibly simple and easy to use crypto experience. The marketplace lists all of its available assets in USD, and users can purchase NFTs directly with a credit card, meaning transactions can be easily on one of the most eco-friendly platforms available today, Hedera Hashgraph. Using Hedera, Third Act's carbon emissions are a fraction of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and even Visa transactions, and a portion of each and every sale goes directly back to productions, personalities, and IP owners. Understand what you guys hold. This is going to be absolutely massive. Now, like I've said, this is just another use case added to, to just tally it up. This goes back to November 30th, and this was talking about Theater's first NFT. Third Act launches new NFT collection with Brian Stokes Mitchell, right? So again, like I said, they are choosing a specific asset. Okay, they're specifically choosing Hedera to be the network of choice with a lot of these NFT use cases. That is why we look here and we do see Hedera Hashgraph is set to rise as it increases its use case. This goes back 4 days ago. Hedera Crypto will rise as it slowly increases its total value locked with more use cases. We do see here Hedera hasn't moved much in the past 8 months. For example, earlier this year, it was at 36.69 cents as of March 17th. But almost 8 months later, on December 1st, the crypto was at 34.85 cents. So over that period, the Hedera crypto has drifted 5% lower despite a lot of bumps in between. For example, it spiked to more than 50 cents by mid-September, but then it tanked to 32 cents 2 different times and had barely risen higher as of December 1st. I suspect investors might be growing anxious or impatient to see whether Hedera Hashgraph and its crypto can pull in some big gains. Now, the best part about this is that the more and more use cases that flow in, and the more utilization that happens, we're going to have, some sort of major influx in price. We do see here, for example, according to DeFi Llama, Hedera does not rank in the top 73 chains in terms of total value locked. From what I can tell, it has 0 TVL, but I could be wrong, since there might be other sites that measure its TVL. To put it in another way, if a lot of apps were using Hedera, it would have shown up in the TVL statistics. Now that is the main pretty much concern right now. And now with this, we're seeing, up here, in addition, Hedera uses a consensus service that acts as a layer of trust for a network or app that needs a secure, verifiable log of events. But so far, there are not a lot of use cases for Hedera blockchain technology. But that's the funny thing, right? There is use cases, and individuals are utilizing. We talk back to AdStacks. We look at all of the other, pretty much use cases within it as well. And we do see here, if it can gain some market share in this application and use case, then Hedera could gain value. And this is talking about NFTs. And like I said, NFTs are growing. The ecosystem is prospering. And they are talking more so about what to do with Hedera. They're talking about, pretty much the TVL, statistics. However, I can understand why there hasn't shown up in the TVL statistics for Hedera and Hbar token. I suspect it may take some time for these new apps and use cases to bring in new deposits and people using the Hedera Hashgraph network. Over time, I suspect that this will raise the value of Hedera token. Therefore, this could provide an opportunity for investors right now buying into Hedera before it becomes popular. And while the token is well off of its highs, could be a good move. As new use cases and users increase the TVL for Hedera Hashgraph and it shows up in the stats, the value of its crypto will slowly rise. Now, like I said, in terms of the TVL, it's probably the overall fees at which it, pretty much costs to run a use case or utilize a use case on the Hedera network. I suspect that is going to grow and grow. We've looked at ServiceNow. We've talked about ServiceNow with, 80% of like the Fortune 500 companies utilizing it. This ecosystem is exploding, okay? It's exploding right now. We even look back on November 27th, 5 unstoppable cryptos that have left Ethereum in the dust, okay? And of course, Solana, Cardano, Polygon, Decentraland, and Helium are mentioned. But where is, in my mind, Hbar at? Because Hbar has been leaving Ethereum in the dust for years. This is the problem. Okay, when we're looking back on these, Hbar is listed all day long. But why isn't Hbar listed here? Hbar was listed above Solana, it was listed above ADA, but there's no talks about it. And that's exactly why I suspect that we will see a lot more growth within Hedera. Okay, because not a lot of people know about it just yet, and that's exactly what they're talking about in this, article too. They're seeing, no TVL, so not a lot of people are going to pretty much see that. But in my mind, it's not going to take too much longer before that comes to fruition. A lot of the use cases within the Hedera ecosystem are ramping up. We've been seeing the utility cases pretty much happening all day long, even going back, to 1 year ago where we did see 1.5 million transactions per day happening. And I suspect that this is going to continue to grow. I mean, right now, I think it's like 30 million transactions per day. It's crazy to say the least. So I suspect that the growth within, Hedera is going to pretty much provide us with some immense volume and value very soon. I'm looking forward to Q1 and Q2 of 2022 because I think that that's where a lot of those major use cases actually happen, especially in terms of staking and stuff coming. I'm very excited for the future of it. But with that in mind, I hope that you all enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys want more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.